Hello everyone. Good morning, good morning. Oh look, you guys have all been chatting already, so fantastic. Pamela, Northwest Pennsylvania, Denise, Missouri, Kat in Germany, welcome. Tanya from Germany, awesome. Also, Monica from Germany. Oh, you guys, this is great. So good to see you. Toller, Texas. Donna in Marshall, Saskatchewan, fellow Canadian. Great. Okay, I'm Susan Smith. Welcome to my studio, Stitched by Susan. The camera angle is kind of funny. You're seeing my lovely cupboard there and it looks like it's at a tilt, but it's really not. This morning I want to talk a little bit though about thread and some of my favorite colors that I think are critical if you're just getting started out. And honestly, it's not that many. You might be surprised. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about how I store mine. You're seeing it here behind me. And maybe you all want to chime in with some of your favorite ways that you've seen a big collection of thread stored. There may be ways I have not thought of. So that's today's docket. Let's see. Let's wait for there's quite a few here. Let's chime in. Get my words in order here. I had a catastrophe this morning. This is probably why the words won't come just right. I'm telling you. Catastrophe at our house. We ran out of coffee. It's been a busy couple of days. Haven't made it to the grocery store. So today I have my trusty cup of tea. But it does say, of course it's backwards, you snooze, you lose. So got my cup of tea in hand today, but it's probably the lack of coffee that's showing. Anyway, you likely haven't seen my studio from this direction. Often I'm standing at the long arm machine with the window kind of shining full in my face. Well, I've turned about 150 degrees and now the window's off my left shoulder, which is why you're seeing such a bright light from that side. So I'm nothing if not innovative. I hung a white sheet over it because it's so bright and sunny this morning, which is lovely, but wanted to diffuse that light a little. Cassandra says not backwards. Okay, it must reverse because I'm probably on selfie mode. It looked backwards to me on the screen. Hi from Athabasca, Alberta. This is always so fun to see where you're all coming in from. Joan in the UK, Natalie in Indiana, Terry in Missouri, Scrappy Quilter from the west side of the state, Washington State, which is where I am, Lynn Lawrence in South Louisiana, Sandra in Brazil, or Sandra maybe. Great. Okay, let's get talking. Thread. So what you're seeing here is my favorite brand of thread, which is Isacord. And the particular thread is their 40 weight trilobal 100% polyester. I do love it on the long arm for a couple of reasons. I love the 100% poly because it is low lint. I like the 40 weight because it's kind of a neutral. It's fairly fine, but not extremely fine. So still strong enough for every quilt and purpose that I want to use it for. I do keep some finer threads for certain projects, but the 40 is a good neutral. And Isacord has over 300 colors, which I love. This is personal preference, but I do like to match thread to quilt quite a bit. That just gives me joy. So even when I'm doing edge-to-edge quilting, same quilting over the whole quilt top, I still choose that thread color with care. So when we get to talking about favorites, you'll notice I don't just have gray. I have, I think I have 4 or 5 grays. So that's just my personal preference though. So I loved that accessibility with Isacord, is that I had this broad range of colors. So I got lucky and I got this storage rack at a quilting shop that was going out of business, and it is the perfect size. Each of these sort of slots, can you see the bars going between? And it has these slots that are the perfect size for these cones of thread. And I can get 3 standing in each one. So there are, I think there's 58 slots times 3. So I can hold almost 170 cones of thread on this rack. You know, and you can get an idea of the size. It's about 3 feet wide and about 3.5 tall. Other long armors that I've seen have a wall of pegboard where they store their threads, which is a fine idea too. And I considered that, but my room is not really all that big. I don't have a ton of wall space. And so thinking about 150 or 170 separate pegs side by side actually takes a very, very large wall. So I've stuck with this rack for quite a few years now. It's the most space efficient way that I have to store my thread. And I think you can see the bottom kind of there. I've got like a small credenza underneath it because it's kind of thigh high, that credenza is. And what you're seeing is all my thread from top to bottom. This is the bottom row right there that you're seeing. That's the bottom. So that's my thread storage. Here's one of the fun things that my son was instrumental in setting up. I wanted a way to store my bobbin with my spool. Again, personal preference, but I like to match or pretty closely match my top and my bottom threads. So when I have 5 shades of gray, for example, or tan, which I have numerous shades of as well, it's often difficult to tell by looking at the bobbin which is which. So I wanted to be able to store bobbin with thread. So my idea was a golf tee, but golf tees are actually fairly pricey. So my son Alex had this bright idea. These are little wooden food skewers, and they're pennies, super inexpensive. So they came in a bag. I've just tossed them in a Ziploc, and I just use them to store, and you can put several if you need to because they're taller. So to store the bobbins on top. Melita, I store mine in clear plastic boxes, and I've done that too, Melita, and it works well, but you still run into the problem of sometimes having difficulty matching which bobbin to which spool. So I do like this. What I have not found a great answer for is my thread cones have a notch in them that holds that tail of thread. The bobbins, of course, don't have that. So you sometimes end up with tails that are unwinding a little bit. Someone suggested to me that you get thin, like an acrylic tube, and slice it and then cut them open and use them for little clamps. I have not done that. If one of you wants to get that ambitious, let me know how it works. I've just concluded, because I don't handle them very much, they do fine just on my shelf like this, so I've concluded that was good enough for me, and then I don't have to fiddle with taking those little clips on and off. So that's my thread storage. Robin's chiming in from North Carolina. Let's just buzz back because I do see some comments coming in and I want to see what they are. Gaynor, hi again from South Africa. Your name came up in our quilting class. Great, and I encouraged everyone to your channel. Wonderful. Yes, and while I'm scrolling, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell, and that way you'll know whenever I'm going live, and I'm coming on live every day for the month of April with various topics. Martinez, California, Edmonton, Kentucky, Cindy from Windy, Iowa, Bonnie in Massachusetts, Peggy in California, Barbara in Ontario, Canada. Jan, I have an over-the-door rack with metal cabinets from a Container Store. Oh, that's a great space-saving idea to do something over the door. Arlington, Washington, Melita in Toller, Texas. And Tracy, good morning from Hagensville, Georgia. Great. So I'm not seeing some widely differing ideas here, but you're getting the gist. Some people do have different ways of storing. Another long arm one that I've seen fairly commonly is to have the plastic inexpensive stacking drawers that you can purchase for crafty things. You can get them in an appropriate height for your spools of thread, and I've seen people store their thread that way. There is a feeling that keeping it out of sunlight will help it to last longer, and I'm sure that's true because it is a textile, it is a fiber. I go through my thread at a fair size clip, and I kind of use the first in, first out system, so I don't think it's a problem to have mine. It's not, the sun is not shining on it, it's actually on the shady side of the wall. So that's my personal feeling, but that would be an option. And those craft drawers sometimes will fit under certain models of long arms as well. So I've seen quilters do that both with thread and like even with their scrappy fabric storage to have a range of those bins and store things in them. Linda, I've used the plastic tubing trick on bobbins for years. It works so well. Good to know. Cassandra, I have the clear drawers because the cats will eat the thread. See, there you go. So for your house, drawers closed might be the thing. It absolutely makes a difference what your circumstance is, what your space is, all those things. So let's talk for a minute about thread colors. And I'm going to pick some of my favorites for you. I've mentioned gray already. I do think, this is my experience, and my students all agree, grays are the neutral when it comes to quilting thread. So what I've got here is a light and a medium. I only have 2 hands, but I feel like a light, a medium, and a quite dark, almost to charcoal, are essential. And the charcoal I've actually been able to get away with on black quilts or quilts that have black in them. I do not actually stock a true black thread. So I have a light, medium, and dark, and then I have a very dark charcoal, and that's the one I use in place of black. And so I never stock black at all. Gaynor, you get tiny little hair elastics. Perhaps they will work around the bobbins. They might too. To me, that feels more fiddly. I don't feel like I need them, but absolutely that's an option and worth trying if those thread tails are getting annoying. Okay, so we've got light and medium gray. Well, here, I'll show you these others while I've got 2 more hands free now. This is my darker gray, and this is my charcoal. And you can even see that on camera. It is not true black. It's a few shades off, but it works very well on black fabric. And it just keeps me from having to keep exact black thread. Then I also have, and I think you can see them on here, I have numerous shades of tans and creams. I think you can get away with fewer than you might expect. Excuse me. The one on the far left here is an eggshell. I also don't stock a true white. This eggshell, because the thread is fairly fine, it kind of adopts whatever color it's on. So I can actually use this eggshell on white, on cream, on pale yellow, on pale pink, on pale aqua if I want to. So that thread will go a lot of places. That will take you really far. But then some deeper tans are a great idea. Further down, let's see here. I have one that's in my thread line. It's called Gravel, and you can see it's quite a deep tan. So those I feel like are the essentials that really, honestly, you could do almost everything with. So the eggshell or very pale cream, the deeper tan, 1 or 2 shades, 2 or 3 shades of gray, and a charcoal, that'll take you a long way. But of course, thread is fun, and so you might want to get some more. One of the surprising threads that I've got is this one. I don't know how well this will show up on camera, but it is a pale green. Some people call it baby puke green, but it's also a very soft sort of sagey green. This green goes in a lot of surprising places. There are grays that it looks good on. There are yellows that it looks good on. And obviously there are greens that it looks good on. So it's kind of a good neutral as well. And I've found a few threads that are like that kind of go in surprising places. And then of course you can see looking over my shoulder that I just plain love color. So I've got, you know, copperies and golds. I've got lots of teals. There's probably 7 or 8 shades of teal and aqua in there, and I love thread, so why not? But anyway, the eggshell all the way to the charcoal, I think will cover a lot of bases for you. So if you were just starting out, you could get away with those 5 or 6 colors and go a long, long way before you had to add any more. And I did not do this all at once by any means. Excuse me. I'm a little hoarse this morning. It's that lack of coffee, I'm telling you. When I started out fairly early on, I started quilting for clients. And so the way I approached it is whenever I came across a quilt that I thought would benefit by a particular color, I needed a red or I needed a plum or something like that, then I would go and get that color and just add it to my thread collection. And then I've kept up on most of those. And sometimes I'll get one in for a particular quilt and I think, it only suits this particular shade, and to me that's too narrow of a channel. I'm not going to stock a 5,000 yard cone, you know, for one quilt that I might see once every 5 years, right? That shade. So then I discontinue that one and I don't carry it anymore. But these shades I've had for quite a while and I seldom branch out beyond them. So 50 or 55 colors has served me in all kinds of situations. Okay, let's have a read at the comments again. Jan, I enjoy your videos and have learned a lot. Wonderful. Barbara, I tear a little piece of painter's tape and place on the bobbin thread end. That's a low tech and a very effective solution. Absolutely. Could you say the color number for a deep autumnal red? Hard to shop online. You know, I can. I'm happy to. I don't know how much it will help unless you do this specific brand. But let's see. This is my favorite deep red. It almost goes toward burgundy. And it is 2113. That is my favorite deep red. So I haven't really mentioned the colors even of what I consider the staple threads, because if you don't have the same brand, you'll not be looking for exactly the same thing. Here's a hint though, when you are looking at colors online, look on a couple of sites and kind of take the median, if you will. So if you're shopping on eBay, which is a good place to shop for isocord thread, by the way, there's a couple good eBay sellers. Just pull up the thread color, the color code in a couple of different places and look at the images, and that composite will give you a better idea of what that color is. If you only look at one image, you're apt to be surprised when it arrives on your doorstep. So, okay, we're almost at 15 minutes. I have a couple more things I want to tell you. All week I've been inviting you to my workshop on Saturday, 5 myths that tie freehand quilters in knots and how to break free of them. It's me talking about the questions I hear most often from quilters that want to quilt freehand, want to control from the front of the machine, and feel like they can't. There's this reason or that reason or the other. Well, I'm gonna bust those myths on Saturday. Lots of photographs, lots of stories. So if you register for that, and the registration is in the show notes, then you will receive some email reminders, you'll get a workbook link, and you'll be all set for that. In addition, you're on my YouTube channel, so clearly you know where that lives. I live stream a quilting project generally the first and third Friday of the month. I've been traveling lately, so it's been a little bit more irregular, but tomorrow is the day. I will be live streaming a project tomorrow beginning at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So watch for that. And later today, I'll set it up as an event, so you'll be able to actually see it on the channel and check for the time in your local city, your local area. And then thirdly, today I have opened the enrollment doors for my freehand quilting masterclass. So I will be talking about that a bit more on Saturday. Some of you already know about it. A lot of the quilting that I do on my YouTube channel is the designs that I teach in that class. So edge to edge, all over, repeating designs. That is what I love to do. So in this masterclass, I not only teach, I think there's 31, just over 30 different designs, but also I talk a lot about the theory of freehand quilting. And by theory, I mean how to move across a quilt top without painting yourself in a corner. What makes a graceful design and what makes it repeatable? How do you think through entrances and exits? And I also focus on being able to take ideas that you have or see. My favorite place for ideas is hotel carpets. Often they're awesome, or upholstery fabrics. But how do you take that idea and translate it into a continuous line that you can quilt, that you can learn how to do by memory and quilt? So I talk about that too, because I want this to be a springboard for quilters to be able to do their own original work and not only learn my 30 designs, but use that as a springboard. So doors are open for enrollment on that today. I have also put that link below these show notes. And feel free to email me if you have any questions. I'm info@stitchedbysusan.com. The link that I've provided will take you to a landing page that outlines what's included in the course. Like there's a full syllabus of what's in every module. So read that first. There's some frequently asked questions. See if that addresses your questions. But if you still have remaining queries, feel free to email me and I would be happy to chat with you about them. So again, I am here every day for the month of April talking about a different topic casually each day, sometimes a little bit different time, but I try to do it in the mornings, my time. So click on that notification bell so that you know when I am live. Click on the like and subscribe. That helps YouTube to push it out there and let other quilters see the videos as well. So whatever you're doing today, I hope you find joy in it, and I will chat with you again tomorrow.